Today we continue to listen the second link, Sankhara Picaya Vijnana. This link is difficult to understand and it explains the law of karma and the process of Chuti and Patisande, death and rebirth. So we need to review this link and summarize the teaching. The teaching of Theravada Buddhism is that at every moment there are new mind and matter arising and then passing away. Everything new. If you see in this way, it is correct. Not old one, everything ever new. And the new one, a new state, nothing is transferred from one life to another. However, what arises in the present, what arises here, is the result of what we did there in the past. They are connected, although there is no permanent identity. We lucky there are many ancient commentaries. The commentaries explained this another way with no absolute identity and no absolute diversity. Since there is the sequence or the continuity of mind and matter arising and passing away, there is neither absolute identity nor absolute diversity of otherness. And commentary gives an example here. If there were absolute identity, then the milk would not turn into yogurt. And if there were complete diversity or complete otherness, then yogurt would take place without milk. In the same way, if you say there is absolute identity, then there will be no more rebirth from the karma done here. And if you say there is absolute diversity, then the two will be totally disconnected. And you always say there is no person, no doer, no experiencer. You always say if there is no person to experience the result, then for whom would the result be? So here let us take the tree example again. When we see fruits in the tree, we just say that the tree bears fruit. But the fruits are not for the tree. In the same way, when we see someone happy or unhappy, we just say that this person is happy or unhappy. There is just a conventional usage, since in the ultimate sense there is no person, but only the mental process of happiness or mental process of unhappiness. So conventionally, we say somebody gets good results or bad results, but in the ultimate sense, no one experiences it, just the experiencing and process. And to understand this process, we practice Vedananupasi, Viharati, contemplating the feeling in the feeling. We do not contemplate the person in the feeling. Contemplate the feeling in the feeling, just the experiencing process. And Sankhara, volitional activities or karma formation is one of the aggregates, Sankhara Khanda. And what are karma formation or Sankharas in brief? We understand that Sankhara is a good or bad karma, and also Vijnana is the resultant consciousness. So if we see them in real life, whenever we do, whenever we say, even think good or bad, there is Sankhara. And Sankhara is technically known as volition or Chetana, that is driving force behind all the good or bad activities. So most of the time we do one of these two types of Sankharas. We very, very careful to do wholesome Sankhara, Punjabi Sankhara. So during the retreat, it is only one way, Punjabi Sankhara. Yogis are performing the whole retreat. We have only just two Sankhara, Punya or Apunya. We very careful. If we do not Punya, good deeds, we would do bad deeds. So long as we are not fully enlightened person, Arahants, we are still doing karma formation, Sankharas. But we could not even imagine how longer samsara would be if we fail to do wholesome Sankhara. So we have to direct our mind whenever we do these Punjabi Sankhara or meritorious deeds to the attainment of enlightenment or cessation of suffering. Then these Punjabi Sankhara or wholesome karma formation will lead us to a life where the conditions are favorable for us to practice for liberation from a cycle of rebirth, samsara. So this samsara will not prolong our samsara. This is the right direction. So when we practice vipassana meditation, we come to see physical phenomena changing moment by moment. Our sensation coming and going, our thoughts appearing and disappearing, and our observing mind itself arising and disappearing away also. Then when our concentration and mindfulness getting strengthened, we come to see interaction of mind and body. For example, we realize that we see something because there is a visible object, eye sensitivity, and our attention. And also hearing, smelling the same. So everything is dependent upon some other things to arise. In this way, we start to see the law of cause and effect through the practice of vipassana meditation. And from this empirical experience, we infer that what we are now is the result of what we did in the past. In this way, we come to accept the law of karma at a deeper level. And Chuti and Bodhisande, death and rebirth, need to understand that the true nature. A yogi understanding of rebirth can be a little bit deeper when you see the mental activities arising and passing moment by moment. Sometimes you are happy, sometimes you are sad, other times you are neither sad nor happy. These mental states come one after another when you are alive. They go on and on and on because there is karmic force to perpetuate their continuation. And this karmic force will continue as long as there are avijja internal, ignorance and craving as its sources. Until these two sources, avijja and tanha, ignorance and craving, are eradicated, there will always be a sankhara, karmic force. And so long as there is sankhara, karmic force, the mental states arise and disappear, and this process will go on and on. Even after our lifespan expires, and we continue life after life. So that is what we call Paticca-Samuppada, rebirth or samsara. So by practicing this way, you can also accept rebirth. During the retreat, your understanding of rebirth becomes stronger. When you practice meditation, you try to be mindful of whatever is happening to you. And when you watch your mind, you will see different thoughts every moment. You see one thought after another arising and passing away. The more you have concentration, the more clear. And by seeing these phenomena arising and disappearing, you come to realize that what we call death, chuti, is not very strange. What we call death is just the disappearance of the last thought in this life, and what we call rebirth is the appearance of a new thought in the future life. So death and rebirth can be understood in comparison with two successive moments or thoughts. So it is acceptable that the arising and disappearing of consciousness can go on, and not only when we are living, but also after death, because of karmic force. So when we are aging and the body deteriorating and the material bases become weaker and weaker as our death approach, and when they can no longer serve as basis for the vijnana, for the consciousness, that consciousness must take another material properties in the next life for its base and go on. So one life gone, and in this way we understand death and rebirth through the practice of meditation. Any citta, Paticca-Samuppada, vijnana, relinquishing consciousness or rebirth consciousness, or Jaku vijnana, seeing consciousness, Santa vijnana, hearing consciousness, any types of consciousness, they do not last long. They only exist for 3 short moments, Upada, Titi and Binga, arising, existing for a moment and disappearing. So it mentioned that within a blink of an eye or a single flash of lightning, billions of mind moments can arise and disappear. So the duration of the arising, existing and disappearing of one mind moment does not even exist for even 1/1,000,000th of a second. So we must take note of how fast consciousness occurs. So in this life, when we enter to our mother womb, the Paticca-Samuppada citta, relinquishing consciousness, exists for a moment, and after existing for such a brief moment, the relinquishing consciousness ceases, and other types of consciousness continuously occurs. So other Viticetta, the consciousness occurs because of the sankhara. As long as this kinds of consciousness occurs continuously, the person can be said to be alive for the whole span of life. So this consciousness which occurs continuously is called bhavanga, life continuum consciousness. That is portions of existence. So we practice Satipatthana meditation, Kaya, Vedana, Citta, Dhamma, Citta, contemplating the consciousness in the consciousness. So every consciousness need to be observed. Seeing consciousness, hearing consciousness, smelling consciousness, tasting, and touching, and thinking consciousness. So various kinds of consciousness we need to observe according to the teaching. So when there is no seeing consciousness, there will come the what called Bhuvinga Citta, relinking Bhuvinga Citta life continuum. And when you hear the sound, there is hearing consciousness, and then Bhuvinga life continuum. And when you taste, you have tasting consciousness, and then Bhuvinga Citta, relinking consciousness, life continuum. So when this Bhuvinga consciousness occurs for a long time, then we say that you have a long lifespan. So when Bhuvinga does not occur for a long time, we say that that person has a short lifespan. Both long or short lifespan are dependent mainly on your karma formation or sankhara. If your karma is good, if your sankhara is good, then your lifespan exists for a long time. And if the person karma is weak, if the person wholesome sankhara is weak, then life cannot exist for a long time for the person. So sankhara picaya vinyanam, your vinyana or lifespan is dependent on sankhara or karma formation. So it is similar to the way in which a stone is thrown by a hand. If the hand that throw has strength, then the stone goes very far. But if the hand is weak, then the stone does not go very far. So it is like this. You can take many examples of an arrow, gun, cannon, and rocket, etc. So karmic force, sankhara, can be understood by an analogy of a clock using spring in the earlier days. Before the electronic clocks were invented, we had ordinary clock with spring. In order for the clock to work, we wind the spring to create a force to turn the wheels of the clock. And the more we wind the spring, the more powerful the force becomes. So we wind the spring to the maximum to have full force for the clock. And so long as there is force, the wheels will turn and make the tick-tick noise all the time. The more the force, the longer the wheels turn, and the turning will not stop if the force is not spent altogether. So in the same way, when we do something good or bad, we create karmas, and the karmic force causes our mind and matter to arise in despair continuously. And this force will not stop upon what we call death in one life, but we continue to another life as long as its causes such as tanna, avijja and tanna, ignorance and craving are there. So this analogy will give us better understanding of our cycle of life and death or rebirth. So in this life, when dying, it is the consciousness which is caused by sankhara, and so it is enough to understand that in our life, the three types of consciousness, Paticca-Samuppada, relinquishing consciousness at the very beginning, and the Bhuvenga Citta, life continuum in the middle, and death consciousness, or Chuti Citta, at the end, are caused by one previous karma called sankhara. So in this link, how do you understand? In this life, iti vijnana, chakku vijnana, seeing consciousness, hearing consciousness, smelling, tasting, touching consciousness, these five vijnana. And you can look at the page number 6, a complete eye-door process. So when you see something, the first strings of Bhuvenga, and then 1, 2, 3, past Bhuvenga, vibration Bhuvenga, arrest Bhuvenga, and number 4, 5, door adverting, and number 5, seeing eye consciousness, seeing consciousness. That is Chakku Vijnana. Chakku Vijnana is a vipaga, resultant consciousness, resultant. So due to your karma, previous time you have done very good deeds, wholesome deeds, so you see the desirable object, eye consciousness. And then receiving consciousness is also vipaga, resultant. And number 7, investigating consciousness, santirana, is also vipaga. And then number 16, registration, registering consciousness. Number 17, registering consciousness. So these all are vipaga. Remember, number 5, eye consciousness. Number 6, receiving consciousness. Number 7, investigating consciousness. Number 16, registration consciousness. 17, registration consciousness. So these vijnana are vipaga. Vipaga. Due to your karma, previous time, previous life, you have done good karma or bad karma, it is fixed. It cannot be changed. So vipaga, resultant consciousness are fixed, you cannot change. But in this life, we do not rely on the past karma. So what rely upon is what karma? Present karma. Present karma you see where is Javana. Javana is number 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15, how many Javana? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 7. Yes, 7. So these javanas are important. It cannot be fixed. Due to your practice, due to your inclination, if we have a bad inclination, unwise reflection, there may be unwholesome jhana. If we have wise reflection, if our practice is good, 9 to 15 jhanas are wholesome. So it is really important to create the wholesome jhana, wholesome impulsion. So now yogis are practicing very diligently. They have strong mindfulness, the momentary concentration become continuous, and their understanding getting better and better to the reality. When yogi reach the Binganyana, knowledge of dissolution and knowledge of equanimity, even this jhana yogi can overcome. And just number 8, determining consciousness, Vottabana, 2 or 3 times. And then Vipassana Jnana. Vipassana is a knowledge occur, and yogi capture the reality. So it is real practical. So we want to say, we do not rely upon the past. We do not rely upon the past. I consciousness. Sometimes we may see the undesirable. Sometimes we may see the desirable. I consciousness is fixed because vipaka resultant. What we can do is jhana 9 to 15. So we need to practice very seriously and diligently so that wholesome jhana, wholesome karma will arise, especially vipassana jnana will come, and all the time yogi can create vipassana kusala, vipassana wholesome sankara, and vipassana jnana. And finally you can capture the true nature, reality, and then you can reach the ultimate peace. So it is the practice according to Mula Panasa commentary. Yogi need to rely upon the present karma. You do not rely upon the past karma, because past is already gone. You put effort, atapi, art energy, satima, mindfulness, and sambhajana, clear comprehension. That is vipassana knowledge. So we have to stop our discourse for today by practicing vipassana meditation, by observing every phenomena occurring at the 6 senses. May all yogis rely upon the present karma. May all yogis practice diligently, and by observing, noting, rising, falling, sitting, touching continuously and meticulously. May all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.